The sun disappears, the forest changes sound, the air gets colder, and suddenly, the world becomes something modern humans almost never experience anymore. True darkness. Today, when night arrives, we fight it immediately. We turn on lights, we open our phones, we watch videos, we reply to messages. We keep the day alive long after it should have ended. But for almost all of human history, there was no switch on the wall, no streetlight outside, no glowing screen beside your bed. When the sun went down, the world went dark. So here is the question. Before electricity, before lamps, before cities, before screens, what did ancient humans actually do at night? Let's start with what we know from one of the most fascinating studies ever done on human conversation. In 2014, anthropologist Polly Wiesner studied firelight conversations among the Yuhuansi people of southern Africa. During the day, their conversations were mostly practical. People talked about food, animal tracks, water, sharing, conflict, who did what, who failed to help, who saw something useful. In other words, daytime talk was about survival. It was about the visible world. The world of hunger, danger, movement, responsibility, and immediate problems. But when the sun went down and people gathered around fire, something changed. The conversations were no longer mostly about food or work. They shifted into stories, myths, jokes, memories, ancestors, spirits, faraway places, people who were not present, events from long ago, things that could not be touched but could be imagined. During the day, humans solved the world they could see. At night, they began creating the worlds they could not see, and that difference may have changed everything. Fire was not just warmth. It was not just protection. It was not just a way to cook meat. Fire extended the human day. It created a circle inside the darkness where people could safely remain awake. Outside the circle, there was danger, animals, cold, unknown sounds. But inside the circle, there were faces, voices, laughter, smoke, shadows, and stories. In a strange way, fire may have been humanity's first screen. But unlike the screens we use today, the fire did not isolate people. It pulled them together. A child could sit beside an adult and hear how the world began. A young hunter could hear about someone who made a mistake years before. A couple could laugh. A group could remember someone who died. And in that firelight, humans did something deeper than passing time. They practiced being human. They learned values. They repaired relationships. They imagined things beyond the present moment. So let's reconstruct a night before electricity. Not from fantasy, not from movies, but from what anthropology, history, and human behavior suggest. The sun begins to fall. People return to camp. Some carry food, some carry wood, some carry tools that need repair. Children move closer to adults because the darkness is coming. Someone checks the fire. Someone adds wood. Sparks rise into the dark. The first flames grow brighter, and the camp slowly becomes visible again. Food is shared, maybe meat from an earlier hunt, maybe roots, berries, fish, nuts, or whatever the group collected. Eating is not private, it is social. People notice who shares and who does not. Some people repair tools. A spear point is adjusted. A hide is scraped. A basket is fixed. These are useful tasks, but there is no clock, no supervisor, no deadline. Just skill, patience, and firelight. Children play near the edge of the light. Adults watch them without saying much. The youngest ones learn by listening. They learn who is respected, who is funny, who is generous, who is dangerous. People sit close. They groom each other. They remove dirt, insects, and worry. In a world without banks, police, contracts, or hospitals, relationships are survival. If people trust you, you live differently. Then slowly, the practical talk fades. The fire becomes the center. Someone begins telling a story. Maybe it starts with a hunt, maybe with an ancestor, maybe with a joke everyone already knows. But as the story grows, the camp changes. The people are no longer only sitting in one place. In their minds, they travel. They see animals, spirits, distant relatives, dead people, dangerous places, impossible things. And this mattered. Because stories can do what commands cannot. They can warn without attacking. They can teach without humiliating. They can make a group laugh after a day of tension. If someone was selfish, a story could expose selfishness. If someone was brave, a story could preserve bravery. If the group was divided, the night could help pull them back together. Around the fire, humans could think beyond the people directly in front of them. They could talk about distant groups, future journeys, old promises, marriages, spirits, and invisible obligations. That is the strange power of night. Day keeps your mind close to the ground. Night lifts it. When the stomach is full and the fire is alive, the mind finally has space to wander. Maybe this is where humans became more than problem solvers. Not when we made tools, not when we hunted better, but when we sat in darkness and started asking questions no animal needed to ask. Where do the dead go? Why do storms happen? Why do people dream? Why do we suffer? Why do we love? What was here before us? What will remain after we are gone? And then eventually people slept. But even sleep may not have looked exactly like the way many of us imagine it today. Before artificial light, sleep was often shaped by darkness itself. Historical research suggests that many pre-industrial people slept in two phases. There was a first sleep, then a period of waking in the middle of the night, then a second sleep before morning. That middle waking period was not always treated like a problem. People could pray, think, talk quietly, tend the fire, remember dreams, make love, reflect. Sit in a kind of darkness we rarely allow ourselves now. Today, if you wake up at 2 a.m., you may think something is wrong with you. You reach for your phone. You check the time. You panic because morning is coming. But for much of human history, waking in the night may not have felt like failure. It may have been part of the rhythm, a quiet space between two sleeps, a pause in the dark. Then, slowly, everything changed. First came better lamps, then candles, then gaslight, then electricity. Then the world learned how to push darkness away. At first this looked like pure progress, and in many ways it was. Artificial light made streets safer. It extended work. It extended study. It allowed cities to live after sunset. But every technology changes more than the problem it solves. Electricity did not just light the night. It changed what night was for. The hours that once belonged to stories became hours for productivity, then entertainment, then endless scrolling. The fire circle became the phone screen. The shared glow became a private glow. Ancient humans looked into one fire together. Modern humans look into separate screens alone. They had darkness around them and people beside them. We have brightness around us and often feel alone inside it. We still gather at night, but not always with each other. One person watches something. Another scrolls. Another replies to messages. Another disappears into headphones. The room is full, but the circle is broken. Before electricity, the night asked humans to slow down. Now the night asks us to consume more. More videos, more work, more messages, more noise, more reasons not to sit quietly with ourselves. And maybe that is why silence feels uncomfortable now. Maybe darkness feels empty because we no longer know what to do with it. Maybe we forgot that night was never empty. Before electricity, night was not wasted time. It was not dead time. It was not simply the gap between workdays. Night was where people bonded, imagined, remembered, healed, and became a group. Around fire, humans created invisible worlds. They turned memory into culture, fear into ritual, experience into wisdom, darkness into meaning. So maybe the real question is not just what ancient humans did at night before electricity. Maybe the real question is what electricity taught us to stop doing. We gained light, we gained safety, we gained time, but we may have lost a certain kind of darkness. The kind that made people sit together, the kind that made stories necessary. Ancient humans did not just survive the night. They used it. They turned it into connection, into imagination, into culture, into the first theater, the first classroom, the first church, the first cinema. So tonight, when the lights are off and your phone is beside you, ask yourself something. Are you resting, or are you still trying to escape the dark? Because before electricity, night did not make humans disappear. It brought them closer. And maybe somewhere inside the darkness we keep trying to defeat, there is still a part of us waiting to come home.